Week 14 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to sell and trade this week. The first guy, Christian Yelich, the Milwaukee Brewers. So it's been a bounce-back type of year for Yelich. After the last few seasons, the numbers have gone down and the injuries have been a problem, especially with his back on the year. 10 home runs, 41 RBIs, 19 stolen bases, 62 runs scored already, a 282 average and a 379 on base. So across the board, those numbers are great besides the power numbers a little bit down. But we know Yelich, he's not really a 30 home run hitter anymore. And over the last 2 weeks here, he's on a tear. 1 home run, 11 RBIs, 14 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 340 average, and a 446 on base. So right now, he's ranked within the top 30 this season in fantasy baseball. But like I said, the back injury could always be a concern for me. He's been an injury-prone player, and right now he's playing a little bit over his head, especially a batting average. Here's Christian Yelich. Last season only hitting 252, and this year right now 282. So right now he's on a hot streak a little bit. It's a Brewer team that's definitely in the race in the wild card. And Yelich is playing great baseball, but I don't know if he's going to hold up. Like I mentioned, June 29th at the Mets 0 for 4. June 30th at the Pirates 1 for 5, 2 runs a rib. July 1st at the Pirates 1 for 3, a home at 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. July 3rd versus the Cubs 3 for 4, 3 runs, an RBI, a stolen base. And July 4th, and that one versus the Cubs 2 for 5, a run, a rib, a stolen base. So the stolen bases are great this year. The home runs, not that great at 10, but he definitely could be a 20-20 guy or 20-30 guy here is Christian Yelich. But right now, I don't see the average keeping up, and health is always a concern for me with Yelich. So right now, so far, well, he's been healthy this season and playing great baseball. He's definitely a hitter I will look to sell hard this week. The next hit is Jose Abreu of the Houston Astros. So Abreu, he got off to a very slow start the first 2 months of the season, but right now he's picked things up over the last month. Is Abreu on the year, 7 home runs, 45 RBIs, 28 runs scored, 79 strikeouts, a 243 batting average, and a 292 on base. So right now the strikeouts definitely are a concern for me with Abreu. Already this year, 79 Ks in 313 at-bats, where last season only 110 strikeouts in 601 at-bats. So right now the contact has gone down a little bit for Abreu, and that's why I think the beginning of the season was definitely a problem for him. But the last 2 weeks, he's one of the hottest hitters in the league. 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a 366 average, and a 378 on base. I know Abreu's second half throughout his career, he's really turned things on, but I don't know if he's going to have the magic once again this year. I know the last 2 weeks to the last month of the season, he's been playing great baseball, but the first 2 months, he didn't show up, so I don't know what we're going to get from Jose Abreu. So right now, while he's an unknown, even though I know he's been a perennial all-star and an MVP candidate on and off for many seasons with the White Sox, I just don't know right now with Houston. So right now, while he's on a hot streak, I think I would sell him high this week. June 30th at the Rangers, 1 for 4 run. July 1st at the Rangers, 0 for 3. July 2nd at the Rangers, 3 for 5, a run. July 3rd at the Rangers, 2 for 5, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. And July 4th versus the Rockies in that one, 1 for 4. So right now, he's hitting the baseball. He's getting more contact on it. But like I said, the strikeout numbers are up this season. The first 2 months of the season, he didn't do much. And maybe age is just catching up to him over there as Abreu, or the new scenery over there with Houston. But right now, while he's hitting well, he's a sell high hitter this week. The next hitter, TJ Friedl of the Cincinnati Reds. So TJ Friedl, it's been a solid year for him. And this Red team, they've been finding guys now this year. And this is why this Red team's won 20 out of 23 ball games over the last month of the season. So on the year here for Friedl, 6 home runs, 31 RBIs, 31 runs scored, 14 stolen bases, a 309 average, and a 378 on base. And over the last 2 weeks, he had 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, 10 runs scored, a 313 average, and a 411 on base. So right now, he's playing great baseball here, is TJ Friedl. If it's going to hold up as the season goes on here for Friedl, and the league sees more tape on him and make adjustments to him as well. So the last few games here for Friedl, June 28th at the Orioles, 3 for 5, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 3 runs scored. June 30th versus the Padres, 0 for 5. July 1st versus the Padres, 0 for 5. July 2nd versus the Padres, 2 for 4. July 3rd at the Nats, 1 for 3. And July 4th at the Nats, and that one 1 for 5 with a stolen base. So right now, playing great baseball, no doubt about it. He's getting a hit, it seems like each and every day, or driving in a run a decent amount, and stealing bases, which is his specialty. So right now, while he's giving owners 4 or 5 different categories, is TJ Friedl, but I just don't think it's going to hold up. This is a perfect time to sell him off this week. The next hit is Anthony Volpe of the New York Yankees. So Volpe, he got off to a horrendous start in the first few months of the season. In the year, 11 home runs, 30 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, 35 runs scored, a 225 average and a 298 on base. But the last 2 weeks, he's been on a tear. 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 10 runs scored, a stolen base, a 439 average, and a 500 on base. So right now, he's been gunning on base half the time in the last few weeks here, so Anthony Volpe. And this Yankee team, they definitely need a boost at the hitting. With Aaron Judge out, and Volpe's been the guy right now the last few weeks here. So June 29th at Oakland, 2 for 4 run. July 1st in a doubleheader at the Cardinals, 4 for 8, 3 runs and RBI. July 2nd at the Cardinals, 1 for 3. July 3rd versus the Orioles, 2 for 4. A homer in that one, 2 runs scored. And July 4th versus Baltimore, 0 for 4. So right now, while he's playing great baseball, is Anthony Volpe. But I don't know what we're going to get from him the remainder of the season. He's an unknown as well. After the first few months of the season, he was doing nothing for fantasy owners. And now all of a sudden picking up, this is a time to trade him. And plus that, he's a shortstop as well, which is one of the weakest positions in fantasy baseball. Obviously, you could get a solid starting pitcher in a deal, I believe. And this is a time to sell him this week. In the 5th and final hit I look to sell and trade is Michael Harris to the Atlanta Braves. So Michael Harris, the first 2 months of the season as well for him, he was hitting under 200, and the last month he's been on a tear. On the year, 9 home runs, 24 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, 32 runs scored, a 269 average, and a 317 on base. In the last month, though, he really got back. It was last season with these numbers: 7 home runs, 16 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 20 runs scored, a 385 average, and a 400 on base. And right now, Michael Harris playing great baseball. No pressure on him batting ninth over there for this Atlanta Brave team. And this is what the Braves did. They kept him in that 9 spot. They most likely figured he would figure it out, and he has right now, is Michael Harris. But just like the other guys I mentioned in this video, Abreu and Volpe, it's concerning to me the first 2 months they didn't do anything, and now all of a sudden they're starting to hit the baseball. And Michael Harris has had some turnaround. June 28th versus the Twins, 2 for 3 run. June 30th versus Miami, 1 for 4 run. July 1st versus Miami, 0 for 3. July 2nd versus Miami, 1 for 3. A run, a stolen base. July 3rd at the Guardians, 2 for 3. In that one with 2 home runs and 2 RBIs. So right now he's hitting great baseball, is Michael Harris. But the thing's a little concerning to me, obviously the first 2 months he didn't do much. And also, even in the last month of the season, he's not drawing a lot of walks, and he's been a free swinger, but you can't argue with that for what he's done. So right now, well, he's bumped those numbers way up over the last few weeks here. To a month is Michael Harris, and playing great baseball. He's back at value where he was last season right now, pretty much. I know he was a 2nd, 3rd round pick in most drafts. And right now, the numbers overall, still the RBIs are down, but stolen bases are solid. The home runs, he's still on pace for about 20 home runs. And RBIs, he'll probably still get 40, 50 RBIs. But right now, I just don't see how Harris turned it around this quickly. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if he regresses a little bit. So right now, while he's playing great, he's a sell-high hitter this week. So that's a few hitters I look to sell and trade here in already week 14 of the fantasy baseball season.